Cool, guys. My name is Brendan Reynolds. I'm the Executive Director at IOPSA, and welcome to today's session. So I'd like to start off with a quote. Small business isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the brave, the patient, and the persistent. It is for the overcomer, and that's from Andrew Consulting. And this quote was obviously before all this COVID craziness. But the principle remains the same. As a small business owner, it's not an easy business to run, and especially in tough times. And we need to be strong, we need to be brave, we need to be patient, and we need to be persistent. And we will overcome this. There will be a time that things get better, and we need to just hang in there, stick in there, and the name of the game at the moment is survival. We've got a quick poll. Basically, what we just want to get a sense of is, are the plumbers out there struggling at the moment? One thing I want to mention before we get on to the actual presentation is there's a huge amount of negativity out there at the moment for various reasons. And I know that a lot of people are battling. But we have a choice to make within ourselves, is whether to focus on the negatives or to look for solutions. And the more we focus on the negatives, and the conspiracy theories and all the bad and all the terrible things that are happening, we tend to end up in a bit of a spiral. And that spiral just ends up in negative consequences. So I urge you guys just to try and take a positive outlook on things. There is a lot of positive information out of there. There is a lot of people doing some amazing, amazing things. And, let's stay focused on the positives and let's look for solutions. Let's look for ways in which we can make things better for ourselves and our families. And that's quite a bit of what I'm going to be talking about today from a business sense. How can we find positives and how can we find solutions and ways to make things go better? Most people are struggling. We know this. It's not a surprise. So let's look at ways in which we can make things a little bit better. So firstly, from a business point of view, you're not going to save yourself out of this crisis. You're not going to, probably not going to have some stroke of luck that's going to save you out of this crisis. You've got to take ownership of your business and you've got to sell yourself out of this crisis. So fundamentally, every single business in the world is about sales in some or another form. Now, I know a lot of plumbers don't feel that they're a sales organization, but guys, we need to change our mindset. We need to recognize that business is about sales and we need to make it the focus of our business. So what a lot of guys don't do is upsell and add on sales. If you look at any business, if you walk into a plumbing merchant, you'll probably find that 9 times out of 10, they're asking you if you've got, once you've ordered your stuff, have you got solder? Have you got flux? Have you got gas? Have you got this or that? If you're buying a geyser, have you got the vacuum breakers? That is add-on sales. And all those little bits of additional sales that they make add up to a huge amount at the end of the year. So here's just a few little ideas from my side. I'm sure that you guys that are at the coalface can come up with a lot of different ideas if you apply your mind. But just think about things like selling an upgrade on the geyser side, upgrading the geyser to full compliance where you find non-compliances on the geysers, trying to sell the client on solar and heat pump, upgrading sanitary ware and mixers. I mean, it's all good and well to repair a mixer, but maybe the client would be interested in upgrading to something newer or upgrading their sanitary ware to something newer. Look at touchless technology. There's a lot of interesting products available with touchless technology, especially in the work environment. A very interesting one I saw recently was Workwin has a little system mech that works with a battery that's touchless. You know, these are small little things that you can add on and you can upsell your client and earn a little bit more money on every single job. Have a look at water saving devices, energy saving devices like lagging and geyser blankets and those sort of things. I know a lot of guys don't like lagging and geyser blankets, but if you can sell some additional products on every single job, you'll make a lot more money. Simple things like selecting a new shower head, a new fancy Hansgrohe or Cobra shower head, and keeping stock in the van, and then trying to sell those up to your clients when you're doing the job, because it's a quick, easy install. It's not going to take very long, and hopefully have good results from your clients. Things like rainwater harvesting, grey water harvesting, those sort of things. Have a look at that. It's a big growing market. We need to start training our staff. So most of our staff are plumbers. They're not salespeople per se, but we need to start training them to become salespeople. We need to start training them that when they arrive at the client's house, they need to be looking for where there are options and where there are needs, clients' needs, that we can fulfill so that we can create additional sales, while at the same time we can give the customer a good experience, a good satisfaction experience. So look for those additional services. Say to your client, while I'm here, is there anything else I can do for you? If you phone any call center nowadays, when you're finished with a call, they always say to you, is there anything else I can help you with, or is there anything else you need? And sometimes it's a little bit irritating, but imagine that in only 5 or maybe 10% of cases that the client wants something extra. That's 5 to 10% additional sales for your company, and it will make a huge impact over the year. So keep looking for additional work. Again, just a couple of examples here, and once again, I'm sure you guys have got much better experience than me, and you can think of other things that are not listed here, but these are just some examples. So while you're there, while you're doing the job for the client, can you service the traps for them? The gullies, the grease traps, floor drains, that sort of thing. Look around while you're doing the work and look for damaged plumbing. Look for non-compliances and point them out to the client. Again, probably 80 to 90% of the time, the client's going to say no. But the 10 or 20% of the time that the client says yes, it's going to add value and add sales to you. Listen for water hammer. So you're doing the job and you open the tap, you hear a water hammer, identify it. That's an option. That's something that you can do additional for the client. Look for signs of leaks. Look for signs of blockages, these sort of things. So set some sales targets for your teams. I would imagine that most of you, most of the IOPSA members have at least 2 to 3 teams. And, it's a great idea to set sales targets for your team. So say to them, you need to try and earn 100 Rand extra on every single job. And these are the options that you need to be looking at. Don't try and do all the things I'm going to talk to you about today, because the list will be too big. But select 4 or 5 or 6 items and train your staff on those and get them to go out and look for these options and see if they can sell them on. When we're talking about extras and add-ons and upselling and that sort of thing, it's a good idea to have a flat rate pricing. No matter how you do your normal pricing, if you're charging a call out or not, or whatever your rate is per hour, or however it is that you've got your pricing methodology set up. But consider for these add-on and extras while you're on the job to have a flat rate price. So for example, if you were going to install say a geyser blanket, if you sell a client a geyser blanket, it's 500 Rand for the geyser blanket, done and dusted. There's not 500 Rand plus so much for this and per hour and all this sort of thing. Make it a flat rate. It's easy for the client to make the decision then, and it's on the spot. You can put him under a little bit of pressure. A simple thing that a lot of small businesses don't do is follow up on quotes. So most of you guys will have some sort of admin. It might be your wife, or it might be a small little admin staff in the office. Make it their duty once a week at least to take all the quotes that you've done and follow up on the quotes. It really does work, guys. Follow up on the quotes regularly. Maybe the client says, oh, you know what, I got some other quotes and then yours was a little bit high, and then maybe you can tweak your price and maybe you can secure that job for yourself. But honestly, following up on quotes is critical to your business. So make sure that somebody in your office is doing that on a regular basis. Aggressive marketing is really important in difficult times. There's one place that you need to be spending some money, it is on marketing. Get out there, make sure that people are aware of your business, make sure that people, when they think about a plumber in their area, that your name comes up in their mind first. It's really important. There's some interesting webinars that have been done by Kayla. I assume some of you have watched them, but they are available on YouTube. Go and have a look at those. Do some research. You don't have to spend a fortune on your marketing, but guys, take a look at your marketing. Work on your marketing now. In the difficult times is when you need to be marketing yourself aggressively. Think about things like fridge magnets, branding on your vehicles, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these sort of platforms. Have a look at where you can market your business and market your business aggressively. Be aggressive on your marketing. Look and feel like a professional. Now, we've done webinars before about this. We've had these issues raised at some of the members' meetings. But what makes you look different? What makes the customer experience different? What sets you apart from all the other plumbers out there? That's what's going to make a difference in the client's mind when they take a decision on who to use. Are you promoting the fact that you're an IOPSA member? If you are you promoting the fact that you use PIRB registered plumbers? Are you promoting the fact that you have an essential services permit? These things are about showing the legitimacy of your business. One thing I didn't add there is if your business has been in operation for a long time, make sure that you promote that fact too. Because people look at this and they say, well, this company has been in business since 1972. They are IOPSA members. They use PIRB registered, guys. For those that are in metros, maybe say that you are metro registered and they have essential service permits. These are legitimate, proper, professional guys. Then look at how your teams look, sound, and act. In other words, how do they feel? What is the feeling that your customer gets when your team arrives on site? When your team arrives on site, do they feel like this is a professional organization that's going to do a decent job? Or do they feel like this is a backyard kind of plumber, that I'm going to squeeze for price, or that I'm going to give a hard time to, or that's going to do a shoddy job? It's very important. There's this thing, if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it must be a duck. Now, if you think about a doctor, and in your mind, if you have a little picture of a doctor, what does that doctor look like? Maybe he's got a stethoscope around his neck and a white coat, and maybe he's got a pair of glasses. What does his offices look like? What do they smell like? You know immediately when you arrive there that this is a professional doctor. If you arrive at the doctor's rooms and it's messy and the doctor's in a pair of board shorts and a wife beater, you're not going to be confident about that doctor working on you and on your body. So apply the same principle in your business. Remember that very often we're working in people's homes and businesses, and that's kind of a sacred space for them. So make them feel more comfortable. As far as complaints are concerned, everybody gets complaints. Everybody makes a mistake, and everybody occasionally comes across a difficult client. But when we deal with complaints quickly, efficiently, and effectively, that creates a positive sense with a client. And very often, people will talk about that. They'll say, listen, you know, I had this plumber here and there was a problem, but gee, he sorted it out quick, no problems, no issues, no fights. It creates a very positive feedback loop. Look at referrals. I see some plumbers on their websites and on their Facebook posts and things do put on referrals and compliments that they've received from clients, but not enough, guys. Referrals are very, very important. It again gives the client a sense somebody else has used this plumber and has had a good experience. And if they see 2, 3, 4, 5 of those sort of referrals, then it really creates a very strong impression in people's minds. On this point, guys, don't make up referrals. Use real referrals. Don't make things up, because that is going to come and bite you in the bum. Don't, in this time especially, don't undercharge or overcharge. Charge a fair rate. What is a fair rate? A fair rate is a rate where your company makes decent money and that has meaning to the client. You need to find the price point for your particular client base, that they feel that they're paying a fair price, that they're not being undercharged or overcharged. Undercharging often is as bad as overcharging. If people are undercharged, very often they feel that the job wasn't done correctly or wasn't done to the right kind of standard. When you've overcharged them, they feel like they've been ripped off, and it becomes an emotional issue. And what you don't want is people to have a negative emotion towards your business. You want people to have a positive emotion towards your business. So make sure that you charge a fair rate. Remember that this, as I said, most of you guys are working for homeowners, very often working for homeowners. And remember that that's their hard-earned cash. And especially in times like this, they're very, very careful with their money, and it's becomes an emotional issue. So be careful and make sure that you're charging a fair rate. Undercharging, obviously, you're gonna undercharge yourself out of business. Overcharging, likewise, you're gonna overcharge yourself out of business because nobody's gonna want to do business with you. Can't overemphasize service, guys. A positive experience from a client is worth gold. Service, and that's got to start from the person who answers the phone or answers the email or answers the WhatsApp or however it is that you get your business in. Think very carefully about how you respond to the client and their needs, and then what is their experience right throughout the process. From logging the call to getting the work done, to the invoice, to the payment, that whole stream needs to be slick and efficient and give the client a good sense of good service. And then, as I've said, guys, you are a sales organization. You might not think you're a sales organization, but you are a sales organization. So that needs to be one of your main driving forces in your business, is sales, sales, sales. How do I increase the amount of sales that I make? Because ultimately that's going to lead to profit. Sales is the one aspect. But almost more importantly than sales is managing your cash flow. So it's great to make huge sales, and then the clients don't pay you. It's not going to help. Your business is going to end up closing. So cash flow management is number one. You've got to manage the cash in your business, especially at this sort of time. The difficult times is when you've got to really manage the cash in your business. Invoice quickly and correctly. I'll just use a very simple example. Just before lockdown, I had a little piece of guttering done at home, and I got a very well-known gutter company in Gauteng to do a little bit of guttering for me. And at the end of the job, I asked them 3 times for the invoice. I didn't receive the invoice. Eventually, when the invoice came, it was incorrect. I still paid, but I had to ask them 3 times for the invoice, and the invoice was incorrect. Now, many clients will not do that. If they don't receive the invoice, they won't pay, especially companies. If the invoice is incorrect, you've put the wrong VAT number, you've put the wrong address, you've put the wrong amount, whatever, they won't pay. Once you've made sure that the invoice is done quickly and correctly, you need to follow up daily. Did they receive the invoice? Is everything okay? Is everything right? If there are any errors, get them fixed immediately. The same goes for statements. If you've got clients that are on some sort of an account or payment plan or whatever, get those statements out quickly and correctly. So one tip with statements is, especially for corporate companies, is find out when they close their creditors division, and make sure that your statement comes in a day or 2 before they close off. When you send your statement on the day that they close off or after the day that they close off, there's going to be some problems in terms of processing your payment. Again, follow up. Debtor management is about following up. It's a job that nobody likes. Nobody likes following up and chasing their money. But follow up daily. Have somebody in your office that's on the phone day in and day out, finding people that owe you money, making sure that all your paperwork is correct and that everything gets through on time. The number one reason for non-payment throughout the world is incorrect information on invoices and statements, or that the invoice or statement has not been received. Interesting fact is, we got some stats from UIF yesterday. 48% of all claims have been rejected because of incorrect information. And the same thing goes with this. If you go and have a look at the statistics of unpaid accounts, it's a huge percentage. I don't know the exact percentage, but a huge percentage are because of incorrect paperwork. So make sure that your paperwork is correct and follow up, follow up, follow up. Offer for your account clients, offer discounts for early settlement and be super strict. Those of you who maybe buy from companies like Plumlink on account will know that if you're 1 day late, you don't get your discount. And the reason that they have the discount in place is to make sure that the money comes in at the right time so that they can pay the money across again to their suppliers on time. So offer a settlement discount, but be very strict on it. If the client pays 1 day late, don't give them that discount. Otherwise, you wasted the effort. Be very strict on that. Wherever possible, especially in these times, change to COD. I actually had a discussion with a plumber in Cape Town yesterday, and he was telling me how good his cash flow is going, because from the start of the lockdown, when they got the essential services permit, they immediately changed to COD and payments up front. and their cash flow has been brilliant through this time. So guys, wherever you can, change to COD. And once again, guys, be strict on this. Be strict. If you're doing a bigger job, ask for a deposit. And then make sure that you don't mess the client around as far as the deposit is concerned. Don't use the deposit from job 1 to pay for material for job 2 and silly things like that. Make sure that you manage it correctly and that the client can believe in the trust that you have. An important one, and one that a lot of people don't do, is fire the bad clients. So where you've got clients that always give you a hard time, always fight about the price, always moaning and complaining, always paying late, always having stories, fire them. Don't do work for those guys anymore. If you work out the amount of time and effort you spend on those type of clients, it's not worth it. You actually probably need to charge them double. So stop doing work for those clients. Fire them. And as I've repeated over and over and over again, as far as your cash flow management is concerned, follow up daily. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Just keep working on it. Don't become a pest, but make sure that you're following up regularly. From a supplier point of view, go to your suppliers, renegotiate the terms that you are buying from the suppliers, and see if you can get better terms. If you're paying on a weekly basis, maybe you can stretch that to a monthly. If you're not getting a settlement discount, maybe you can negotiate a settlement discount. If you're buying for cash, maybe you can move to weekly. Whatever it is, go to your suppliers and renegotiate your terms. But make sure that you pay your suppliers on time, especially where there's a settlement discount, because it can be quite significant. If you have any difficulty in paying your suppliers, guys, I don't want to underemphasize this. Talk to them. Don't hide away and not answer your phone and not answer emails and that sort of thing. All that does is piss off the supplier. And then you're going to have difficulties in future, and you're going to end up with legal costs and all sort of things. If you've got a problem, contact your supplier. Don't let them contact you. You contact them and renegotiate some sort of a payment plan. And then please, guys, stick to your commitment. The reason I'm addressing this is your credit rating through the next couple of months is going to be critical. You need to, as far as possible, not be buying for cash. You need to, as far as possible, be buying on terms. This is going to have a massive impact on your cash flow. So guys, take this very seriously and see your supplier as a key partner in your business, and make sure that you stay in touch with them. And if you have a problem, you let them know, and that you stick to your commitments where you've made commitments. If you don't have accounts, and if you can't get accounts, use your credit card, but guys, use it responsibly. Make sure that you're doing a recon regularly, and that you really stay on top of your credit card. A credit card can be a super useful tool. It can also be a disaster if it's not managed properly. So if you have to, use it responsibly and make sure that you pay for it so that the debt doesn't build up. But try as far as possible not to use the cash in your business during this time. A lot of guys buy from the lacquer supplier, the lacquer guy. I go there and I have a lacquer chat with him, and he's a nice guy, and he always tells me jokes, and he's a lacquer guy. But you need to do a thorough analysis of your suppliers and think about which is the best supplier for your business, not for your ego and not for your pleasure, for your business. What are their terms? What are their prices like? What are their stock holding? Are they in a convenient location? all these types of things. So analyze it with your head and not your heart. I repeat this, guys, a lot of plumbers buy from a supplier purely because they like the oak, as opposed to it being good for their business. So take a hard look at your suppliers. Make sure that you're not buying stuff that you already have. Virtually every single plumber in South Africa, in the back of the bucket, you're going to find a bucket, probably a HTH bucket or a builder's bucket, and it's full of spares, full of fittings and Conex rings and all sorts of odds and sods. How often do you tip out those buckets and see that there's 30 half-inch copper elbows in there and 10 Conex T's, but you bought yesterday? The fact is that when there's a bucket full of fittings, it's impossible for your guy on site to scratch through a bucket of fittings to find 2 half-inch copper elbows. He's going to go and buy them. That is eating up your cash. Your cash is getting stuck in your stock and not moving through your business in a healthy way. So take some time every now and then, take a bucket, maybe one bucket a week, pull it out, pull everything out of that bucket, and have a look at what the stock is that they actually have. Every plumber has done this at some point. And what has your experience been? Every time a coconut, you find stock that you can't believe. Cistern mix, fittings, glue, hemp. You know, I remember with one plumber pulling out the back of his bucket, 8 hanks of hemp were in that bucket. You know, we've all had that experience. So take some time and do that. It really will have an impact on your cash flow. The things I've mentioned, the obvious thing and the thing that normally comes to people's mind first is reducing your expenses. As I've said, you're not going to save yourself out of this. That doesn't mean that we don't look at the expenses. And we need to be aggressive in looking at our. We need to cut out all the unnecessary expenses. All those nice to haves have got to go. So some guys have got DSTV in their offices. Some guys have got coffee machines. All those things that you don't really need, get rid of them. Get rid of them. Be aggressive. Be super aggressive right now. Cut your expenses to the bone. Take a look at every single cent you're spending and renegotiate everything that you do. From your insurances, your policies, pricing from the suppliers, the rent that you're paying, your bank charges. You can renegotiate your bank charges, your accounting fees, legal fees, cell phones, data, Wi-Fi, all those sort of things. And right now, everybody is open to discussion on the price of these types of services. My wife recently picked up the phone and redid all our insurances, and we saved $800 a month. Now, that's just, I'm talking in my household. Now, $800 a month on insurances is a big number. So if you were to get, say, $500 from your insurances, maybe you save a couple of rand on from your suppliers, something on the rent, something from your accountant, a little bit on your cell phones, you might be saving yourself 5, 10, 15,000 rand a month. It really does add up. So go and relook at everything that you do. Sometimes you'll find, especially on the cell phone accounts, that you're paying for all these unnecessary little services, you know. So have a good look at that. A really unpleasant one, guys, is to have a relook at your staff levels. This is not something that anybody enjoys, because I think we all feel a kinship with our staff. It's like a family. So have a look at your staffing levels. It's really a tough one. It's an emotional one. It's a horrible thing to do. But if your business is to survive and the livelihoods of all your staff are at risk, take a look at your staffing levels again. Take a look at what you're paying your staff and think about it very cleanly and very clearly with your head again, not your heart, and look at what is good for your business and take the necessary steps. Clamp down on travel, cell phone, fuel expenses, those sort of things. Take a hard look. Your staff that may be using the vehicles over the weekends or using their vehicles to travel to and from work, have a good hard look at what guys are using those vehicles for and what the fuel costs are. Compare different teams to each other, and I think you might find that you'll find that there's some abuse happening, and you need to clamp down on that now. It might have been okay in the weeks and months leading up to this crisis, but right now nobody can afford that. So clamp down on it tight. If you do have to spend, make sure that you're spending on quality. The temptation right now will be, times are tough, so let me buy the 50 Rand wrench from the China shop. You know that wrench is going to break. You know it. And you know that that's then going to impact on you completing a job for a client, which has additional costs, and then you're going to end up buying another one. So not only with tools, but with whatever you're going to spend money on right now, make sure you spend it on the quality product that's going to last you. And just a note here, guys, is don't go too far. I was in a business some years ago where the business went through a very, very difficult patch, and there was a massive clamp down on all the expenses. And one of the things that they decided then was they removed all tea and coffee and toilet paper from the office staff. The negative effects of that were unbelievable. So whilst you're going to cut back as much as you possibly can, remember that the basics for the staff are important. It's important for their motivation and for their well-being. So just don't go too far. My little word of caution on that one. Cut expenses, guys, everywhere you can. You've got to cut every single expense that's unnecessary. The next point is something that for most plumbers honestly doesn't sit well. Let's be honest. Most plumbers out there are not comfortable with things like financial statements. As a business person, this is something you've got to change and that you've got to work on. Business is about financial statements. Understanding your financial statements is crucial to running an effective business. So take your time, find out, learn to understand your financial statements. Your income statement is also called a profit and loss or a P&L. I think probably most guys are familiar with this. And that would be obviously a detail of all the income that came into your business, the sales, what sort of profit you made, and what your expenses were. This is your number one starting point, and this is going to show you, if you start to understand it and look at it on a regular basis, will start to show you where your business is going right and where it's going wrong. So most guys will have a look at a balance sheet, although they might not spend a lot of time on it. They might just go down to the bottom line, but take some time, start to understand. Things will start jumping out at you. If I look at IOPSA's income statement on a monthly basis, things jump out at me, but this doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. And then when you start to investigate, you might find that there was an error or something went wrong or whatever it is, but at least you'll pick it up. The next thing on the list is the balance sheet. And this, a lot of guys don't spend any time looking at their balance sheet. They kind of, this like the accountant has to do this, and so, you know, there it is. and they don't really know it and they don't understand it. Now, the balance sheet, and for most small businesses, what's critical on the balance sheet is to keep a good track on your cash position, the cash in the bank and the debtors that owe you money. So all that sits in your balance sheet. So get to know and understand your balance sheet, because that's going to be, at the end of the day, your income statement can be as great as, it can be brilliant. But if you don't have the cash in the bank, or your debtors aren't paying you, or you owe too much money, it all sits in the balance sheet. And ultimately, that is what's going to close your business down. The least looked at financial statement is a cash flow statement. And again, this is probably the most critical piece of financial information that you're going to get, because this is going to show you how the cash is coming into your business and moving out of your business. Once you understand that and you understand the cash movement within your business, that is going to be the key that keeps your business running. More profitable businesses fail because of cash flow issues than any other region. There's a lot of businesses that are actually highly profitable, but they don't get the cash into their business. They don't get paid, in other words, and they end up closing down very good, very profitable businesses just because they haven't managed their cash flow statements. So get familiar with your cash flow statement, talk to your accountant or your bookkeeper, and really, really, really start understanding this. On these three items, the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement, there is a format that has to be used for proper financial reporting. But set up within your business, talk to your accountant or your bookkeeper, set up what are called management accounts in your business. Now, management accounts you can set up in a way that makes sense to you, because the way that makes sense to accountants and to SARS and all those type of guys, it doesn't necessarily always make sense to the business owner. So talk to them and set these statements up in a way that makes sense to you, for you running your business. Important point in business always is, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and you can't improve it. So look for 5 or 10, don't go too far, just a couple of key performance indicators. You'll hear guys talking about KPIs. I don't know too many plumbers that actually have KPIs in their business. Set up 5 to 10 KPIs for your teams and for your business. Some examples there are cost per job, or average value of a job, or profit per job, cost per kilometer of running your vehicles, additional sales made by teams, and that sort of thing. Now, when you've got 5 or 6 or maybe 10 of these in your business, they're early indicators of things going right or things going wrong. So if you set up some of these measures in your business, it will be an early indicator that you might have a problem. So for example, if we look at something like cost per kilometer, if you've got 3 vans running around, the one van's cost per kilometer is R1, the next one is R1.05, and the third one is R2.20. It's showing you that there's a problem. You need to go and look at the third team and find out what is going on there. Why is my cost per kilometer so high? It's just an indicator. It's not going to give you the solution, but it's going to be like a little flashing red light that says to you something is wrong here, and you can address it quickly. So guys, successful businesses have some form of KPIs. Some of you may already have KPIs in your business and you just don't know it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a document with a very formal thing, but have something in place that you're measuring your teams and that you're measuring your business on an interim basis, because your financial statements are going to come out after the fact. Remember that. Financial statements come out after the fact. KPIs are going to give you in the middle of the month or the first week or the second week, they're going to give you an indicator that things are going right or they're going wrong. Competition is a great thing, guys. Competition between teams brings out the best in people. Think about a rugby team or a soccer team. When they play against the small team, you can have the top team in the country, the Lions, playing against the worst team in the country, like the Sharks. They're going to play like dogs. They're going to play rubbish rugby. But when they play against the Crusaders, they lift their game every time, and they play at a higher level. Every time, it's the truth. Create competition within your teams, positive competition. When you analyzing teams against each other or comparing teams against each other, make sure that you do it in a positive way. Don't spend the time moaning and shouting at the team that's done worst. Spend your time celebrating the wins and the successes of the teams, and help guide the other team to achieve the same sort of results. It becomes a positive sense, and it becomes a positive, fun competition within the teams. You know, you can put a small little something on, you know, as an incentive to the guys. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be lunch, you know, it could be a McDonald's lunch, or it could be a little trophy, or it could be whatever. It doesn't really matter, but create some sort of competition. I can't overemphasize, guys, in business, knowing your numbers. You can't actually understand your business if you don't know your numbers. You think you know. You think you know. But until you understand your numbers, you're not really going to understand your business. I'll use a sport analogy again. In sport, every single sport, there's always statistics, isn't there? Who scored the most tries? Who scored the most runs? Who saved the most goals? Who ran the most meters? Who got the most wickets? All these types of things. Always in sport, they're numbers. You need to have a scoreboard. You need to have a scoreboard. You need to understand, are you winning or are you losing? You need to understand, are you doing better than last week or are you doing worse than last week? You need to understand the team members within your team. Are they performing or are they not performing? And unless you do that, you're not going to progress. So, guys, take some time. I know it's not for everybody, but really it's important. Take some time, put together a set of management accounts that make sense to you, and a set of key performance indicators that are going to tell you what is happening in your business. So in a broader sense, we all need to start thinking about, how do we get the SA economy back up and running again? Because right now, I think we all know that it's in a terrible state, and we're in trouble as a country. So we're now going to do a whole lot of things in our own businesses to make our own business more successful and to run better. What about the country as a whole, or our province? Without that economy recovering and growing, whatever we do is not going to really work. So every single one of us needs to do our bit to help South Africa recover. And there's a couple of very simple things that we can do to make sure that South Africa recovers. Number one is to start buying locally manufactured products. Over the last 10, 12 years, maybe a little bit longer, what has happened in our industry and what I've seen in our industry is that we have just shipped the jobs to China. We've taken jobs away from South Africans and we've moved them to China. We've exported jobs to China time and time again, and every single one of us is guilty of this. Now we need to think, the people that you do work for, they have to be employed somewhere, otherwise they can't get you to come and do the work for them because they won't have any money in order to do that work. So where are those people employed? And if there are more people employed in decent jobs, would they be able to make more use of plumbers' services? And the answer clearly is yes. So when you are buying material for your business, think about where that product comes from and what impact it's having on the South African economy. Sometimes we might actually pay a little bit more for the product. Think about the groceries that you use in your home, the products that you use in your home and in your business. Where do those products come from? If they are South African made, then there's a South African that made them, and that South African had a job. That South African has a job, he can call a plumber to come and do work for him. And that's how the economy works. If we keep exporting all our jobs to other places, eventually hardly anybody will be employed in South Africa, and our economy will just crash. So buy local. Look at how you can support small businesses. Whether that's in the takeaway that you're ordering, or the material that you're buying, or groceries for home, or whatever it is, think about supporting small businesses. Why do I say this? Small businesses actually collectively employ more people than big businesses. And that's a fact. Collectively, they employ more people than big businesses do. So support small businesses wherever you can. Support small local businesses wherever you can. Stop corruption. Remember that, guys, just going back to that, remember that most of you guys are small businesses. So it's in your interests to get the culture in South Africa to become more about supporting smaller businesses than supporting these massive corporates. Stop corruption. Guys, I don't think I need to say much about this. We in South Africa have great experience of corruption and the effects of corruption on our country and on our economy. But corruption is not just sitting with the president and the ministers and all these sort of guys. It starts at the lowest level. It starts with people bribing a traffic cop, or bribing somebody at Home Affairs, or bribing somebody on a tender or a job or something like that. It starts with that. We're never going to stop corruption unless we stop the corruption. We've got to, every single one of us, make sure that we are stopping corruption in every way that is possible. Firstly, we need to stop corruption by not participating in it. And secondly, by reporting it at every single opportunity that you can. So I know that it's tempting to say, well, a certain politician was involved in corruption and took R1 billion. So, well, then I'm just going to do it. That's the wrong kind of attitude, guys, because if everybody in South Africa starts doing that, we'll be dead in the water and our economy will come to a grinding halt. Somebody's got to stop it, and I'm asking you to take it upon yourself to stop wherever you can. Stop the corruption. Help the less fortunate. So through this period, I've absolutely been blown away with the number of plumbers that have got out there and delivered food parcels and helped people with sanitation and putting money into the Plumbers Support Fund and helping in unbelievable ways. The projects we ran in Diepsloot, all the plumbers that came through and helped there, and those sort of things help the less fortunate. If somebody somewhere that is struggling and really struggling, and they just get a little help from somebody, sometimes it just puts them on that next level where they're able to start helping themselves and move forward. And we have a lot of people in South Africa that are really struggling, really struggling. And if you are able, wherever you are able, help these people. And it doesn't always have to be money. It doesn't always have to be food. Sometimes it can be helping them with a little bit of work or advice or guidance or support or mentoring. There's a lot of ways that you can help people without necessarily putting your hand in your pocket. So guys, think about that. Well, that's the end of my story, guys. I hope it's been useful, and I hope it's been meaningful to you. I just really want to re-emphasize that these are really difficult times, and we can get through this, and we will get through this. And I do believe very strongly that the businesses that survive now will be stronger and better in the future for having gone through this difficult time. That's not going to make you feel any better right now. It's not going to make it any easier for you right now. But harden yourselves, guys. Be tough, be strong, be patient. We will get through this. We will get through this. And we'll look back upon this and having learned lessons and having improved our businesses in unbelievable ways. So that's my story, guys.